To Be Hero X threw us a curveball with episode 5, and it's all centered around E-Soul. There could be an army of E-Souls based on what we saw in the last episode and some of the information we learned from the producers this week, but I'm gonna get to that. Side note, I just noticed that lotion is behind me the entire video. I am so cooked. First and foremost, thank you for watching the video. Make sure you like, subscribe to the page. And if you're from TikTok, I know you're probably like, why is he wearing a hat? It's because I just came back from the Bahamas and my hair is fucked up. So I just threw on this little weak ass Universal hat. And here we go, let's get to it. First and foremost, last episode we learned who E-Soul is. The first one, the original E-Soul, we later find out was actually one of the last X's or top heroes in the verse. The current E-Soul that we know we met, his name is Yang Chen. At first he was just a regular guy. He always wanted to be a hero. He actually crossplays.
What? What are you talking about, man?
Crossplay. What's the shit? Cosplay. Wow, tripping. I just had a massive brain fart. He actually cosplays as E-Soul. He's always wanted to be a hero, but he never had a trust value, never had a trust factor, never had anyone believe in him enough to actually develop any type of abilities. That is, until a kid who he saves sees him as E-Soul and he develops the E-Soul abilities on the spot. This introduced an interesting dynamic. So this isn't the first time we've seen somebody's powers transferred to another person. We were introduced to the show with Nice transferring his abilities. Well, I mean, he didn't transfer himself, but his abilities were transferred to Ling Lang.
Lock in for a nigga.
To Lin Ling. Wow, y'all, I cannot talk today. I'm not adding another shit. I don't care. We saw his abilities were transferred to Lin Ling very early, but that was a different scenario because Nice had died. The current or the original E-Soul, to our knowledge, is still very much alive. So that begs a whole bunch of other questions. Like, for one, can you transfer your trust factor to other characters? Or do you guys share a same amount of trust? How does that work? If that makes sense. If trust factor, we'll say if somebody's trust factor is a percent value and it's at 100, and there are two people who the world believes to be that person, for example, E-Soul, do you guys split the 100% or do you guys each have your own 100%? We do have a few answers to that possibly in the preview, and I'll get to that one in a second. But one thing that I really saw that kind of scares me going into the future of this show is when the original E-Soul was giving a speech, and he said something really peculiar. Behind him, we see a bunch of other people cosplaying or dressed up as E-Soul, and he says it himself, me and the many E-Souls here stand together, and we all have shared ideals and common aspirations. Now, of course, as a hero, that doesn't sound that weird, but when you think about the way the power system works in this show, everything is based on trust factor and public opinion. So if you're standing on a stage in front of a bunch of other people that look like you, and you're telling the world that these are also E-Souls, and we all share the same goals and desires and vision for the future, isn't that a little bit dangerous? Like, couldn't there be a scenario where some of these people develop your abilities as well? And if that's the case, and I know that you know this, are you trying to do that? Is that your intent? Like, are you trying to build an army of E-Souls? Questions that need answers. The plot thickens. Now, back to my question where I said, so how does it work? There are two E-Souls. Do they both share the same trust factor, or do they have their own scales of trust factor? We actually did get a preview this week of the next episode, and there was a graph displayed in front of the new E-Soul, Yang Chen. And as you can see, on the screen, it says 99% of the OG, and then it says 1% of the trust factor or trust value, excuse me, for Yang Chen. So I guess based on this, we can assume that they share a trust factor because I guess people are believing in E-Soul as an entity, not necessarily E-Soul as various people. But the only problem with this is the way that he got his abilities was from a kid who knows he was cosplaying as E-Soul. It's not that he thought he was E-Soul. He knew for a fact that he wasn't E-Soul. So the fact that he's seen his face and knows that he's not E-Soul, but he's acting as E-Soul, it makes me like, it just makes this whole thing a little bit different, a little bit weird to me, because that trust is in E-Soul, but it's in Yang Chen specifically. You know what I mean? Now, the difference is, I know you're probably like, what does that mean? Or you're yammering on. The difference with that is if my theory is correct and there are multiple E-Souls, then these E-Souls right here, the ones that were at the original E-Soul, the E-Soul who was past top heroes rally or whatever, they're faceless. They all have masks. So I can understand maybe the trust factor not going to them. But again, with Yang Chen, the kid who fueled his trust value literally saw his face and knew that he wasn't the original E soul. So that's kind of what makes it a little bit interesting to me. And then moving forward, it just kind of gives us a lot more questions like, A, how does this whole trust factor system work? The trust factor goes, or the value goes to a band on their wrist. Does everybody have this band? Are you born with this band? Where does this band come from? And why is this band able to give you abilities? We saw with Yang Chen, immediately the second he had one person believe in him, those powers went to the wristband and he was superhero at that point. So that's something I would like to learn, the origins of that band. And 2, who killed Moon? Because that's where things get really spicy when you think about it. Because the only reason any of this matters is because we know that one of the versions of E-Soul killed Moon right in front of Lin Ling. At the very end, we see a glimpse of E-Soul, and we can't tell if that's the OG or the new version. But again, based on my theory, there could be multiple E-Souls at this point. There might not just be 1 or 2. So questions that need answers, the plot thickens in To Be Hero X. These are some of the questions I have. Episode 5 overall was amazing. I'll be 100% honest. I was not excited to move off of Lin Ling's story. And then the fact that we got a Batman-ass, Bruce Wayne, Martha Wayne-ass backstory for E-Soul, and my brain didn't do him a favor, but he grew on me by the end of the episode. And that's kind of speaks to how good To Be Hero X is. I really did not want to root for him. In my brain, he killed Moon, took the spotlight off of Lin Ling. I was ready to see Lin Ling take on his new abilities now that he's like really coming to his own as a hero and he doesn't have to act like nice. So the fact that by the end of the episode, I became a fan of the new E-Soul just shows how good the storyboarding is, shows how good the writing is, the character development, all the things that we really love in a good anime. So shout out to Be Hero X. It is definitely one of my favorite anime this season. Excuse me, Dongwood, because y'all have been correcting the fuck out of me on TikTok. My bad. Dongwood, I put all respect on his name. Shout out to Billy, all the producers, everybody that's putting stuff into this. To Be Hero X is one of my favorites this season. I was not expecting that, especially with One Piece coming back, Fire Force, and a few of my other faves. So if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this style of video, let me know. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos like this, and the style's going to change. I'm trying a lot of different things out. There's going to be a lot of trial and error, so just kind of grow with me as I continue to grow. Also, feel free to let me know what you guys like, what you guys don't like, what I should do better, how I can improve. This is a real interactive thing. That's the thing I do like about TikTok is people will let you know. So please let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about the E-Soul theory. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to in To Be Hero X. And let me know any other topics you want me to cover. Be sure to like and subscribe to the page. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.